Hey folks, it's Saturday and we are back with Dungeons and Dragons. Hooray!
Yay!
Woo! I'm tired.
I see. So last time, it was a bit ago.
Go try some cocaine.
Don't do that.
All right,
Yeah.
fine, crack.
Oh God.
Eric, I am not engaging in your lifestyle.
So when we left off, our heroes had finally sort of resolved largely the whole political infighting storyline, and have extricated themselves from any particular legal issues. Hooray!
Hey.
Of course, the guy behind it all is, outside of basically having his clock cleaned politically, is mostly not screwed over that badly. Well, he's politically fucked, but other than that, yeah.
I had a plan about that.
Hmm?
So, as part of a reward that we got earlier, we got 50 gold. I want to go to that place with the gang, the Dwarven Mafia or whatever that we spoke with, and I want to hire them to spread a bunch of propaganda posters calling the guy out as a fraud and a fake.
Interesting.
What is
Guys.
another?
Because, that way everyone's gonna know that he's pulled some bullshit.
Everyone pretty much does know.
Everyone
Everyone in the council.
In
the
upper-
council,
upper
but not in the
council.
city.
Yes, not of the citizenry.
Right.
I would assume they figure things go weird in the council.
Which again is
They're not
not
gonna know the details.
is not necessarily sufficient. But I will
It's
say
also
that this
not a democracy. It doesn't really matter if he's got backing of the people.
Yeah.
no, but
But what does matter is people will not particularly engage in his related businesses, which hurts him in the long run.
or at the very least they'll throw complaints up to whoever, and you'll become a less than desirable entity to keep around, and they won't remove him fully from the council, but more likely relocate him elsewhere where his visibility and influence is diminished.
Short version, it makes it big problems for him, all for $50. Fuck you for giving us all this bullshit.
Isn't he actually fairly good at his job?
Not as good as the guy that we got in there.
We didn't
Well,
replace
She
him.
made a
We
deal
didn't
with the
replace
devil,
him.
and this is what you're questioning.
Now, Yona
Peter?
wasn't there for that.
Well, no, and
the
also
less
we're
we have to
wanting
do
to
with
make a deal.
dwarven politics, the happier I am.
Well, also we're wanting to make a deal with the devil, so
Peter.
I'm doing
Yes?
this independent of what anyone else is doing. I'm just gonna stop off on the way out of town for all I care.
I was going to just say, I'm trying to remember the particular individual that we're talking about. His name, shoot.
This was like Gold Digger or something like that.
No, not Gold Digger.
Nori Goldhelm is the one you're actually thinking of.
I was close.
Anyway, I'm trying to think. What else do I know about Goldhelm's general reputation in terms of what has he done for the city with relation to the council and otherwise? Has it been mostly positive
Probably.
with regards to the city? History, would that be helpful? Or
Yeah,
just,
history check would be appropriate.
Yeah.
20.
I'm gonna skip it because I don't care about his history. He's pissed me off.
As I said, he's not really that notable
Right.
a politician. Nobody he's got a lot of influence on the council, but he's never really done anything publicly. He's sort of
Right,
a more
so-
behind the scenes type of guy.
Right. So basically, tarnishing his public image would basically hit him where it would hurt possibly the most in terms of his him appearing to be a bad asset to have in certain areas of the council, potentially. So yeah, it's like it basically it's question. Vince's sort of stance is, it may cause some impact, but it's questionable as to how much of an impact it would make on his career prospects going forward. Just
It'll make $50 worth of impact.
Probably not.
well, whatever $50 is worth, whatever 50 gold is worth, that is for the city to decide.
That is, in fact, for the city to decide, and it is my money to spend, so I'm going to spend my money and do just that.
Okay, so
You don't get away with looping around and getting me accused of murder and just get away with it. Fuck you.
He didn't. We already beat him.
I'm not done beating him.
We haven't won until I say we've won.
You're damn right. This is how we do things in the North.
So we established that that Word's character is
Vindictive
vicious,
as
petty, and
hell.
vengeful.
all right. So,
It's like that's a major character attribute with her history.
fair point. At any rate, so hang on a second before I forget. Almost forgot to put the game up on the screen. Tap up on the screen. At any rate, so when... Alright, so you guys are back at the tavern. At the inn. Did I write down the name? I think I did.
The Black Ass Inn.
I think it was the Iron Casket or something. Cask or something
Yeah,
like
that sounds right.
It was something like that. You're back at the Iron Cask, waiting for Walker Gex to return from his meetings. Honestly, nothing really particularly untoward happens until he gets back. I guess, Word, you can go off and establish your little your little thing of payback if you'd like.
It would be my pleasure.
All right. Well, if you head over towards that tavern, you again get sort of that. People sort of look when you enter. The dwarves in question all sort of looking like you again.
Hello?
Hello?
What was that?
That was weird. Like, did it get just like really abruptly silent for everyone else?
No.
No.
Odd. Like the last I heard was you go to the other tavern and then silence.
Huh.
Didn't say anything past that I heard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here.
my thumb may have slipped off the push to talk. So, at any rate, so you head to the other tavern. When you enter, you get those sort of looks, the same looks that you got the last time you went to that tavern. You know, people looking at Aramia, going, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
At which point I'll just approach the barkeep because, you know, the barkeep is familiar with who I am at this point. And I will say that I would like to propose work.
Okay. What are you proposing? I mean, what sort of work?
The kind of work that is well within the reasonable reaches of your association. I would like you to spread some propaganda on my behalf.
Alright. Well, give me a second.
Certainly.
With that, he gestures towards one of the younger dwarves who works for him and sends him off to go get somebody. And he says, "Just a moment. You need to talk to someone who's actually in the gang, as opposed to a bartender."
I understand.
A little while later, sort of an adult but fairly youngish dwarf walks in and says, "You, human, you're the one who's hiring, apparently."
That I am, and I will not mince words with the dwarf and just produce like the sack of 50 gold.
All right, so you're basically elaborating the details of your plan.
Yes.
He looks at it, thinks about it. For 50 gold, sure.
I'm glad we can come to an understanding.
Yeah. When do you want these to start going up?
Sooner the better.
Right, we'll have to run off enough copies and such, but it'll take some time. But should be
That's
going up
fine.
by later in the evening.
I should be out of town by then. That is acceptable.
All right. Pleasure doing business.
Likewise. And off we go.
And he leaves.
Yep. Likewise.
All right. Well, the rest of you are back at the tavern at the Iron Cask. Ooh.
Oh, booze!
Indeed.
Is this just going to be a thing where we just like open up the session and Arami is doing something scummy?
That's so weird. Usually it's me.
Yeah, actually, you've been not been doing much scummy things at all. So
I've been playing good guys lately. What can I say?
I know, Eric. It's confusing.
I know.
At any rate, so, all right. So after a while, you do notice that Brother Gex does in fact return. The goblin sort of saunters into the tavern, sees you all, and says, "Ah, my friends, you are out of jail, apparently."
Yes, and most of us have probably had more exposure to the politics of the city than we would care to have for a lifetime.
I'm ready to leave this city.
I see. Well, I have things that are going to tie me up here for a few days, but if you want to still travel with me, we can meet up somewhere further down the road if you'd like.
It is an option. Where do you propose?
That is a good question. Give me a second. Let me look at my notes, see where I was planning on sending him next. Hang on.
I'm envisioning Zendaya's sort of sitting, playing with some sort of puzzle, some sort of like manipulation puzzle, like a sort of a Rubik's Cube sort of thing that most likely would be made in a dwarven city.
Just wait
Just wait
until we get into a mage's city, then we can fiddle around with a Rubik's hypercube.
Oh, geez. There's no point after you get to a 4x4. Then it's just the same thing, only more tedious.
Yeah.
Once you get to a 4D by 4D cube, then what? A 6D by 6D cube?
Yeah, I mean, like they say like if you can do a 3x3 and a 4x4, you can do a 5x5, and so on. It just takes a lot of time.
Right. The longest, in terms of cubes, the largest one I think was a 15 by 15, which either 15 by 15 or 17 by 17 that took someone 7 hours to solve. But the principle is the same as a 5 by 5, which is a combination of what a 4 by 4 and a 3 by 3 is. But those, any of the large cubes, the method is the same. You make it into a 3 by 3 and then solve it.
Yeah.
Right.
But
All right.
But that's what he's doing while he's talking.
Let's see. Alright, sorry about that. I just was double checking something there. Alright, so his next stop is actually going to be at a Canid village in the Ironwood Forest, which is to the north of the Ironhame Mountains.
Right, which would still be in the direction of where that stuff would have gone if it went past Ironhame.
Suppose I'm going north anyway.
So, I think we can make our way in that direction without too much trouble.
Yeah, you'll have to take the northern gate, obviously, but
Of course.
also he proceeds to he grabs a sort of a scroll of paper and a pen and scribbles up a little letter of introduction for you guys. He's just if you present this to the Canids in that village, they'll be more favorable to you. They'll be more likely to sort of let you stay without any problems. They're not normally super accepting of outsiders, but they're at least usually polite. But if you with this letter of introduction from
they'll relax.
Right, they'll be more willing to accept you guys.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that.
It's sort of one of those, yes, these guys are friends of Brother Gex. Ah, okay, well, if they're friends of a walker, then, all is good.
They're a friend of a walker, but they're also friends, but that walker is Gex. Are you sure we could trust him? I'm just kidding. Anyway,
just been in front of the TV. I'm never going to let that joke go.
At any rate, so you guys want to head out that way?
The north.
Sure.
All right.
That's fine.
I approve of that.
Vindeus would probably want to at least just, touch base with his family and just say general final goodbyes to the family that's in town. Nothing terribly worth going into playing out, but yet another thing that he would do before.
All right. You guys have time to do that if you'd like.
All right. Reminds me. Oh, that's shoot. We had the equipment change.
Yes, I assume you all picked your items, right?
Let me just double check my character sheet. If not, I'll amend that immediately. So.
Yeah, I've already adjusted my token. I'm good to go.
No, I don't. It's not updated on my end, so I have to launch parallels and do that real quick. So,
Eric, which one did you take? Did you take the Amulet of Health?
I took the what was it called? The Amulet of Life.
Amulet of Life.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Let me just update your token here a bit.
Yeah, the one with the double
surge. Yeah.
The double surge. I'm dying. Nope, wait, I'm full.
On dwarves. That is the best dwarf amulet. Period.
It's up there. Okay, I've adjusted yours.
As a reminder for the audience, since it's been a while, I picked the Cloak of Displacement.
Pack Hammer.
Nick, did you actually end up deciding what you're taking? I forget.
Yes, I have a key weapon. It increases the damage of my flurry of blows by 2.
Nice.
There you go.
I believe what I end up picking was going to be the Shadow Dancer armor, but I have to make the update and post it up. So it would also be useful just to have the extra defense, and otherwise. But yeah. So Vindeus is clad in dark leather armor, all that good stuff. Looks more.
Yes, and as I mentioned, these were all gifts from
that jerk,
from Seamus Stoneground, which in fact Gorms had an extra letter of appreciation, and wishing him the best of luck. Wishing him the best of luck in his travels, specifically.
Best of luck in his future endeavors.
That don't include wife banging.
It wasn't his wife at the time.
Fiancé. Remember, let's not.
It was arranged marriage.
Enough.
They had never met.
Close enough to shout across the room as I am right now. I'll get out of the couch when I need to roll.
Anyway.
All right. Well, you guys take care of whatever business you need to take care of before you leave. You do so, and you leave through the northern gates. As you're sort of getting sort of through the, you have to pass by sort of slightly lower income parts of town to the northern gates. You do notice that there are a few new, look like fairly new looking broadsheets up on the walls, with a picture of Goldhelm and long bits of text underneath it. Those of you who read Dwarven recognize it's sort of an accounting of what he's done to you guys.
Excellent.
Oh, that's nice.
Incidentally, I do in fact know Dwarven, so I get to savor this moment.
I mind if I just? I'm gonna feel out wise to see what the impact of this is, or just see what the reactions of others might be who might be looking at this is.
It's not grabbed. Well, give me a streetwise check, but
Sure.
Ooh, I'm
Alright.
a dwarven too.
Oh. There are whisperings afoot.
30. Okay. 31 technically. Dear Lord.
Yes.
Well. Let me think. Well, basically it's early yet, but there's definite sort of whisperings of, things to the degree of, well, he's always been so quiet. I'm not surprised he's been up to no good, etc. That sort of thing. I mean, the problem that he has is that he had no real sort of major reputation. That no one really knew who he was.
He's got a reputation now.
Yep, and it's a very negative one. I mean, there's some sort of debating, like, well, it's a project. These are just like posters someone's posted on the walls. Is it true? I don't know, but it sounds like something that some dwarven politician might get. So a politician might get themselves into if they're particularly and we've never heard anything good from him. So why is it not possible that he's been etc. Rumor mongering is beginning.
Don't fuck with a wizard.
You didn't do anything wizardy.
I don't need to. It's my very nature as a wizard to be vindictive as hell.
They teach that in school.
I got it from my mentor.
Well, I mean, what's the classic phrase about wizards? Do not anger a wizard, for they are subtle and quick to anger. I'm sorry, meddle not in the affairs of wizards, but they are subtle and quick to anger. Of course, the corollary to that is, no matter how subtle and powerful,
quick to anger.
no matter how subtle and powerful a wizard may be, a knife in the back really puts a crimp in their style.
Yes.
This is very true. Thankfully, I am the most tanky wizard.
Tank all you want. Remember, this world has daggers that will melt your spine.
Yeah, I know, and you're carrying it.
Not the only one.
Yeah, but yours is the closest.
Not the one to worry
Anyway,
about.
Anyways, you guys do leave Ironhame. The guards sort of nod at you as you leave. Nothing untoward beyond that. Nothing untoward happens as you leave town, which is probably for the best. You continue traveling for a while. Eventually, Brother Gex did tell you roughly where the village he was going to was. It'll be another couple of days' travel to get there. It's not that far to the woods that they're in, but then you have to travel through the woods, and that's not the easiest of things to do. It's definitely slower than walking down a road. So,
Right.
So while it's not super far into the woods, it'll be it's about a day travel to the woods itself, and then somewhere between a day to a day and a half through the woods.
What is it with us and finding ourselves in forests in your games?
Forests are forests.
They're dark and dangerous woods filled with monsters that need to be hit with hammers. Obviously, part of their life cycle.
Part of their life cycle.
I was like, wait, what?
Okay, well,
I don't. No, stop that, Eric. They're not 40k orcs. That's not how they reproduce.
Well, you guys are past the mountains, and the temperature has gotten noticeably cooler than it was south of the mountains.
Much better. Aramia is actually smiling for the first time anyone in this group has known her. It looks a little eerie.
But yes, it is cooler. It's not like, freezing cold, because it's, I remember correctly, it's like spring or summer, early summer, I forget.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's not, hot. It's it's not freezing cold, but it's definitely cooler.
It's like 60 degrees or something.
Yeah, basically, mid 60s roughly.
Yep.
So you travel down the road for a while. You know roughly where you're headed. Nothing really interesting happens on the road. I mean, you pass a few merchants that are traveling on the road towards Ironhame, which is totally something you'd expect to see, basically, because it's a road. There's a major city that you're leaving. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Most of you are not very familiar with with what's past the mountains to the north, since all of you are basically from the south, if I remember correctly.
No objections.
Sorry?
No objection to that.
All right. So, Aramia knows a fair bit about what's north of the mountains because, well, duh. That's where she's from. So, Aramia, you are actually aware about things about the Ironwood Forest. It does not have the friendliest of reputations.
Well, that's kind of to be expected in the harsher climate.
Right. So, yeah, like, the Canids, there's a reason the Canids are sort of somewhat mistrustful of outsiders, the ones that live there. Because the forest is a fairly dark and dangerous place. So they tend to be, somewhat insular. Is it? Mostly just out of sheer good sense.
Right.
There are some elves who live in the woods. They are among their reputation is like the elves to the south that are in the woods. The elves to the south, they're known to be arrogant and kind of standoffish and annoying for the most part. But they're at least they're reasonable. The elves up here, at least in the Ironwood Forest, are known to be basically xenophobic and somewhat predatory. Sort of think
savages, a lot of them.
Yeah, kinda. So they're very different than the elves to the south. At least the elves in this forest. And if you get far enough north, the elves start becoming more civilized again, sort of. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, basically, think the southern elves basically sort of more akin to the Sealy Court, and the northern elves more akin to the Unseelie Court. Fun times. At any rate, so, and other parts, problems of the forest is it's a dark forest. There are lots of nasty gribbly crawlies in there at night and such. So, at any rate, you guys travel along, and eventually it gets on towards night. So the temperature starts dropping. It gets cooler and colder. It gets actually kind of nippy in the evenings. And you are getting up to the point where you can you can see the forest in the distance before the light base gets to the point where you don't really want to travel much more. So you suspect you'll have to basically camp out before going into the forest, and then you'll have to travel through the forest the next day, basically.
Better
Doesn't
than
sound like a
camping
bad plan
in the
anyway.
forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. The problem is, it'll be at least a day's travel through the forest before you get to the Canids, and it might be a bit longer than that. So you might have to camp in the forest either way. You're hoping not, though.
Well, we would camp in the forest once, as opposed to twice.
Yes, that is definitely a plus. So you set up camp. I'm assuming you had some sort of watch schedule. I forget what it was, though.
Oh,
I'm probably
think...
now, from my standpoint, I only need to rest for 4 hours, and even then, I'm trancing, so I can still be aware of my surrounding. So, effectively, I could always basically somebody could probably worry about covering maybe the first 2 hours and the last 2 hours, but a lot of the mid I can cover. So
I think the way that we did this before was we had Gjorm and Ramia on the first shift, then we had Vendeas on the second and third shifts, and Cathra was not a part of that because Yolanda was out that day. And Hana, I think, was...
last.
Yeah, I think so.
I can just do that.
Mm-hmm. And just have Catherine be
All
on
right.
the end with
That will work.
unless someone wants to be awake with Vendeas. Ooh boy. What's favorite
You sleep
elf?
with your eyes open, it's creepy.
I'm not sleeping.
You sleep analog with your eyes open, it's creepy.
I don't sleep.
That is in itself creepy.
I don't sleep. I wait.
All right. Well, pro forma. Basically, I'll need perception. I need perception checks from perception checks from everybody.
Yep.
What is my embarrassment in this?
Well, mine's not gonna be great. Oh, well, that turned out better than I expected.
Yeah, that didn't suck.
Yeah, I remembered why with battle with Shadow Dance armor. By the way, Peter.
Ah!
Yeah. Oh, that's not very good.
20. 2.
I wasn't the worst. I wasn't the worst.
You're surprised by this?
You had a more than 50-50 chance of beating me. Once I had rolled.
So yes.
Yes, but...
Skitch, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say I remembered why Shadow Dance armor is what I picked up for Vendeas. Primarily, area ranged attacks don't provoke op attacks.
Yes, that's the reason to pick it. All right. So, towards the middle of the night, whoever's on watch there, that would be Skitch, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, Vendeas. And Vendeas rolled a 19. So
Yes.
that's actually
Indeed.
good. That's actually not too bad.
And I don't think I have any particular special senses as what I am.
You have low light vision, I believe, but
Yeah, just low light vision as in the Ladrin elf.
yes, which helps. So, there's definitely something going on in the forest. You hear lots of. You hear typical night forest noises from off to the north. It's off sort of. You're going to be heading sort of northwesty. So, so you hear a bunch of typical forest noises, but every now and then those noises go almost like the normal animal noises go basically dead silent, and you hear something that you really can't put your finger on what it is, moving through the woods and occasionally stopping. But you actually don't see anything. So, but it's like, it moves to the forest, stops, moves to the forest for a little while, stops, moves to the forest for a little while until it's out of range of your hearing.
Right, basically
And
someone right. It sounded like someone was moving through the forest and animals were getting startled, whatever. It made too much noise.
And no. Basically, the animals went silent, and then that started happening. And then after it leaves your range of hearing, a little while later, the animal noises start up again. So, your interpretation could be accurate. You're not sure, though. I'm just making sure you're clear on what actually happened.
Right.
But other than that, nothing else happens during the night. Hooray! Well, it is morning, then. Unless anybody has anything else they want to do before you guys set out again.
Particular, no.
Not really much to do other than get going, really.
For the most part, I remember it didn't snore particularly loud during the night. Yarm? It's probably Yarm.
What am I doing? What?
Probably were snoring a bit during the night, weren't you?
That is entirely possible.
That wasn't what made the animals quiet, though. At times in the night.
Well, if it's trouble, we'll hit it with hammers.
Well, them, and by hammers, you mean the appropriate tool for the job, which may or may not actually be
Which
a
is
hammer.
always a hammer.
Except
when you're trying to cut bread. Hammers aren't very good at that.
Or, extracting an arrow from someone's arm.
No, you hammer it through, and then pull the other side.
While Bjorn is doing all of this talk about hammers, Arami is just going to kind of focus in her hands a bunch of like cold energy, and is going to make like a little hammer figurine, and is just going to hand Bjorn out of ice.
I will then eat it. No, I will put it in my canteen, which is filled with beer.
You're putting ice in your beer?
Well, it's not... Oh, wait, this is good. Oh, crap, I gotta get it out. It's good dwarven beer.
I was gonna say, you had a chance to fill up in an Ironhame, and you pollute your beer with water?
God, I got used to the human swill.
You're like, wait, no!
And you call yourself a dwarf.
No, I call myself forgetful.
No, I call myself Bjorn.
Except when I'm not. And then I'm just some really bad half-assed alias that I came up with on the spot.
All right, so you guys pack up your camp and head off towards head off into the woods.
Yeah.
Insert
Yes.
Stephen Sondheim song here. Move on. All right. All right. Well, the woods start out like fairly typical woods, although albeit the sort of darker trunked trees than those of you from the south are used to. You quickly see why the woods got the name the Ironwood, because the trees are all sort of have much darker barks than what you're used to. So it has that sort of almost that quality of looking at if you're looking at it, the dark leaves, dark trees. It sort of almost has a sort of quality of looking like you're looking at iron ore almost, except not shiny in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Right. So it's a dark place. Which actually becomes more accurately true the deeper you get into the woods. When the canopy starts getting thicker, the sunlight starts getting blocked out, and it's not pitch black. You can see, but it's dark.
At this point, I actually have a bit of a backstory question.
Okay.
Is this forest here arranged in such a way that you can't get to the Northlands without going through it, or did I just go around?
Oh, you went around.
Okay.
There's a road. There's a road.
Okay.
So no,
this was an important question.
You did not have to pass through these woods, and mostly because that would probably not be the best of ideas.
Yeah, especially not alone. No.
No. Anywho, you guys, you're heading. Basically, you know that the Canid village is to the northwest through the woods, and you've been given some rough landmarks because there are some landmarks in the woods to look for. So, hooray! I need from the party at this point someone to give me a role of some sort to represent, basically consulting your maps and doing navigating.
Okay.
I'll intimidate the map.
Intimidating the map probably didn't work that well, but I need someone to basically. I need someone to give me an appropriate role for doing navigation. It could be perception. It could be anything. Just tell me what you're doing and just tell me what skill you're using and how you justify using it. That's all I'm asking.
Well, we're surrounded by trees that look an awful lot like metal. Dungeons are made of metal, so I'm going to use dungeoneering.
Nice try.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't have anything that is particularly pertinent.
All right. Does anyone have
trained in?
Does anyone have nature?
No.
I have
history.
endurance.
That's a resounding no on nature. Okay, that's fine.
I have a +2.
All right. Well, Skitch, what is your untrained nature roll?
I'll tell you that in just a moment. I have to type in something really quick here.
Mine is 2.
Since I believe Skitch took Bard of all trades, so.
Right.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't. All right. Never mind.
Because I was advised against doing that, which would have been really helpful now.
I'm so sorry.
It's usually how these things work.
Because I originally had the thievery thing, and then I was advised against by the entire party to go with advantage of cunning, which...
Oh, it's okay, Skitch. We're just coming up to the first locked door in this dungeon that we'll need you to unlock. So
yeah. But I already sold away
in this forest. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, when we were in the Dwarven City, it made sense. So my nature is a +3.
All right. Who's got the best nature skill? So Skitch is +3. Word is +2.
I think that's going to be the best.
Does anyone actually? No, Hana keys off of charisma. Don't
Charisma.
No
one keys off of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Eric. Bjorn probably has a +3 also, if I remember correctly.
All right, let me just see here.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. Hold on.
Wisdom is not. This is not a particularly wise party.
Well, Bjorn's got a 14.
Hey,
if I
Bjorn's
remember
got a
correctly.
14.
Okay, Peter.
Yes.
I'm going to forego doing a skill check and
I have a
propose just
+4
doing
to
a
nature,
straight
so-
doing a straight intelligence check, as to just keeping track of the map and
All right.
trying to keep track of any potential landmarks that would be inferred from the map itself.
All right, that works. And Eric, if you'd like to give me a nature check, you can, since you actually have a +4, so you're not totally bad at it.
And so, if I'm not
I
mistaken,
wasn't terrible.
It'd be a my int +2 because of level.
Correct.
So let's check here. Should be +6. Okay.
Okay, so you wanted a justification for a skill check. Okay, so here's my justification. We have a map. There are landmarks, as he's mentioning. This area has a history, considering where it is and who lives in it, and the denizens within. So it's also in the northern area. I am far more familiar with the northern area than anyone else, so I probably know some of the history in this area.
All right. Yeah. You might have read about the area in a book, so sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're welcome to give me a history check also.
So on a raw int check, I got a 14. So.
Let's see here. My history is 12.
Yay.
All right. Well, between the three of you, Aramia is remembering details from what things she read in the books. Vindeus going over the map and poring over details and sort of mentally triangulating and doing stuff. And Gorm actually having something of a clue to do with things about nature, despite not being formally trained in it, and being a dwarf.
Gotta know how to.
Doesn't moss grow on the north side of trees? I mean, that seems kind of obvious to me.
Yeah. I mean, Gorm has spent a fair bit of time outside of Ironhame at this point, and he's traveled through woods a fair bit, so he's picked something up. He's not stupid, he's just a little slow.
I get there eventually.
Right.
Yeah, everyone else is running on speed 6. Oh.
Oh.
At any rate, so...
Not me.
At least speed 6, shut up.
At any rate, so, you are able to find your way to the next landmark, quite well. Which it turns out is basically you find your way to an actual clearing, basically. It's a clearing with a nice little pond. It's actually quite possibly the single most pleasant place you've seen in the woods so far.
Which means there's going to be really unpleasant things here in the water.
No, never. But there's a beautiful little pond. It's got sort of sparkling, clear blue water. It's the only thing missing are the sort of Disney birds chirping in the background. This is a
What was that?
It's that springtime song. You can't do it unless there's some sort of whistling thing. Shut up.
Where's my token?
I think I goofed something. Hang on a second.
Oh, shit, we got moved.
I'm zooming into the grass to see if I can find myself in the grass.
No, you
I
won't
mean,
be
I
able
shrunk
to.
the
I
tokens.
accidentally made a new campaign. Just give me a second. I'll just reopen the other one.
I zoomed in by 83,000%. I still can't find my character.
I'm zooming
83,000.
I'm zooming out by just that much. There we go.
Sorry about that.
Copy token before any more buffoonery happens.
I don't know what happened. Oh, I think I when I was pushing the push talk key, I hit spacebar and it just started cycling through stuff.
So
there we are.
Now
Okay.
I need to rewrite my power for my armor.
I'm sorry.
So should we actually be moving these somewhere?
No, we're no combat's about to happen.
Okay.
That was literally me pushing push to talk and accidentally hitting another button also. So that was me just having gigantic fingers on my hands.
So what you're telling me is this is what happened when Yuan ran into Clotho and Clotho threw away the weaving.
Okay.
That was the end of the Feng Shui game.
I still don't recall what the reference is.
Okay. Well, you did run into the Norns, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But irrelevant at the moment. All right. So, but as I said, the clearing is beautiful. Beautiful, clear, still pond. Sunlight, not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful green grass. You know, little, very pretty looking rocks. It looks like a nice, comfortable place that you could sit down and rest in.
Yeah, I'm not falling for that.
Why not?
Well, clearly this is not a trap, so I will start setting up camp.
Well, it's a bit early for camp, but...
Oh, well then screw it. Let's keep going.
But don't you want to sort of sit there and sort of enjoy the scenery and sit down and relax? It seems so nice and pleasant.
Can I see any fish in the water?
No.
Is this thought actually coming into our heads?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Saving throw.
Sure, why not?
Aha!
All right, Hana. Well, you sort of shake your head a bit, and it is not like dark and evil and awful here, but is nowhere near as nice and pleasant. You do see there is a single large sort of gnarled tree at the edge of the pond that you notice, sort of in position right where it looked like the most comfortable to sit down and relax. The pond looks actually very dark and dank and stagnant.
Fucking gallows trees.
Yeah, kind of something like that maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking on this as like, you know, this is completely out of place for this entire damn forest. Why does it look so nice here and not so nice everywhere else? Also, I don't like things that look nice. I like wastelands. Fuck this.
But yes, yes. Eventually, the rest of you sort of shake it off. Also, as you know, Hana sort of points things out, and you realize that you can definitely tell there's some sort of weird sort of compulsion coming off of the tree, and you guys decide to leave the pond, leave the clearing fairly quickly.
The tree goes, oh.
Well, I am actually interested in that tree emitting a compulsion.
Well,
that's...
good luck dying then. I mean,
I'm not going to approach it. I'm not stupid. I'm going to see if I can sense magic on it.
Oh, it's definitely
Yes.
magical. It's definitely magical. No roll
Yes.
needed.
I want the details.
Give me an Arcana check if you'd like.
My Arcana 12, or was that just my history? It's 12, okay. 18.
It's definitely some sort of it's definitely a living plant. Give me actually. You don't have trained nature, so you wouldn't know what this is. Actually, Arcana might be the right. Arcana's not the right skill for this, unfortunately. It's definitely of. Actually, no, Arcana is the right thing for this. I'm sorry. That is, in fact, exactly the right skill for this. You actually remember reading through some books about sort of some of the more nasty denizens of, like, you know, the sort of the fairy forests and such. Mm-hmm. And you don't remember the exact name for this, but it is a carnivorous plant that lures its victims in next to it to, you know, and then basically lulls them to sleep and then feeds on them as they sort of when they doze off.
Right.
So yeah, basically carnivorous tree. Long story short.
Oh, it's that thing that Kurama summoned.
Ah, right. Yu Yu Hakusho. Got it. Kinda,
I forget
yeah.
what it was called.
Yeah, I forget what it's called in that too. It's been a long time since I've watched any of that.
Some sort of eternal doom tree. It's how he beat the Elder Toguro.
Right. It's different than that, but yes, it's along those lines. Yes.
Anyway, all right.
Out of spite, I'm gonna shoot a bolt of lightning at it.
It's a tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tree.
You Kazorch the tree. The tree looks. The tree sits there being tree-like. It shudders a bit, but
It probably gets struck by lightning occasionally, so it is a tree. So
well, actual lightning bolts do hit a little bit harder than Aramia's arc lightning spell,
Yes.
and those do actually break trees to flinders. So, or can I should say?
Yeah.
At any rate, I take it you're
If I
moving
were a
on.
lightning wizard, this would be different, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anyway. Yeah, I was just sort of arguing that I could sense something particular about the tree, but I don't know if there's anything that I can do with my particular background of skills. Also, just doing an Arcana check and maybe inferring something different.
If you'd like, you can give me one, but I'll tell you that's basically what you're going to get out of it.
Well,
yeah. I mean, I'd have to look up the actual name.
Oh, she
for
said I
it.
need to remove that line too. Arcane Trapsmith is no longer applied for now.
Right.
Later on, it will.
But long story short, yeah, it's a carnivorous tree, basically. Much like what I said to Word, they are known to be somewhat rare, but existing in sort of the more sort of Fey influenced parts of forests here and there.
Right, and its particular strategy to get food is what it's doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like they're not intelligent. They're just it's
It's what they do.
It's like The Happening, only not stupid.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, honestly, think of it as a very large and particularly nasty, Venus flytrap / pitcher plant / whatever.
Right, with mind influencing elements of it.
Right.
Possibly
Well,
as well.
yes, yeah, because it has to attract larger prey than the flies and mosquitoes that most of those plants attract.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you guys set out into the woods again. As you're traveling along, you basically now have you do have a good lead to the next waypoint, though. Since you found this clearing, you know that if you just head directly north from here, you should get to the next major landmark.
Sweet.
And Yorm is correct. Moss does grow on the northern side of trees, so that is a big help.
I don't understand why that is the case.
I forget why it is. It is, but I don't remember why it is off the top of my head.
The only thing I can think of is that in the northern hemisphere, that means that it has less exposure to the sun than the southern side of the tree. That's the only thing I can think of offhand that would be pertinent.
I think I might be right. I could ask my dad, but I'd have to call him.
Unfortunately, I don't have any relatives. I don't have any relatives that are moss on trees, so I can't ask them for any.
Hey, Dad, I'm
advice
playing
on that.
D&D
Well,
with
you don't
my
want to go on
friends,
the
and
south side. That's where all the trashy lichens hang out.
I'm playing D&D with my friends, and they're going through a forest right now, and they want to know why it is the moss group.
And my dad would actually not blink an eye at that. Would tell me the answer because he knows I'm a gaming geek.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
because-
typed into Google,
Awesome.
why does moss grow on north side of tree, much like in Zork? And the immediate response here says, actually, moss doesn't grow on the north side of trees. It just mostly grows on the north side.
But that doesn't.
Well, yes.
That's still noticeable.
Yes. The question is, why does it mostly?
This only applies in the northern hemisphere. In the southern
Right.
hemisphere, moss grows on the south side of trees. So
So
Scott
that-
is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait.
It's a guess, but it's probably has some degree of explanation. The only reason I can also think of is that it would mean that it's the side of the tree that would be less likely to have all its water evaporate off of its surface to allow for additional moss to begin forming. But
Yes.
Yeah, I live on the south side of my house. My room gets cooked all the damn time.
Right. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. But yeah, my dad taught biology in high school, so and chemistry. So, at any rate, you travel further north. While you are traveling through the woods, what I need from everybody at this point are perception checks.
Oh,
That
good.
thing I don't do.
Oh, bro, Jesus.
I'm just gonna ride this train straight into the ground.
I see everything.
Good. I see nothing.
Well,
yeah, Hannah can see through time.
Yeah. Well, Hana rolled high enough to count for 2 successes, so
Sweet.
because you blew the DC for this out of the water. All right, so at any rate, you are aware at this point that well, moot point at this point, but you are aware as you're traveling through the woods. All of you do hear some noises and such. Hana and Vendeus, you both are more able to easily pinpoint it. Hana, you are absolutely certain that it is the sound of some sort of predatory animal. So you're able to slow the group down and pull them out of the way as an owlbear and 2 of its cubs sort of wanders across the path, looks at you, makes some sort of noise, and just keeps passing.
And wave. They looked cute. They looked happy.
Well, you guys rolled well enough that you didn't actually annoy the mama owlbear, so...
Good. That is a good thing.
Yes, it is. Owlbears are kind of tough.
I mean, we could have probably taken it, but it would have been not fun.
Yeah.
I want to train an owlbear to be my mount. I'm sick of walking.
Oh god, that would be so amazingly badass.
Yes, it would actually.
Okay, then.
Owlbears are amusing. Owlbears are awesome, honestly. They're weird.
They're dumb as hell, but you know what? That just kind of works in their favor.
Honestly, for an early D&D strange, bizarro monster, they're one of the more awesome ones.
Yes.
As opposed to, like, I don't know, the Flumph. Actually, the Flumph are kind of just so stupid, they're kind of amazing.
I remember there was a Knights of the Dinner Table comic where one of the characters, after they had defeated an owlbear, he came across its nest and decided to take the eggs and raise them. And so people were like, what are you doing getting all sentimental and stuff? And he was like, he waited for them to be fully grown and nursed them up, and then he just took a spear and killed them all. And I was like, see, I just killed eight owlbears, so I get like 10,000 experience points and go up a level.
Yeah,
and they just had a new batch of eggs, and so it's going to grow exponentially.
Yeah, that's nice as dinner table for you.
Okay.
Okay, Wind. That is a chibi owlbear. I'm kind of amazed.
What?
Look on the map to the north of you guys.
Oh my god, it's adorable. That is my mount.
Mount, I don't think. I think it's the other way around. I mean, its mount, given its size.
Yeah, that's the.
No, I ride on its head. It's adorable.
Yeah, that's the owlbear from the Medo Monogatari series, which is what spun off Puyo Puyo.
Okay, right,
Lost for words. Enough of this silliness.
yes.
I've got to leave in like 90 minutes.
Right,
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to move forward. All right,
Sorry,
so
I didn't know you had a time.
I didn't bring it up. It's okay.
not a big deal. I don't actually expect combat to happen this session, so
Okay.
we should be fine on time.
This is one of the sessions where combat happens if we fuck up.
Pretty much, yeah. uh, well, you do find your way to the next landmark. Hooray! It is a large. Basically a standing stone. It's a big rock, sort of sticking up out of the ground. It's got sort of moss and lichen all over it. You can barely make out some very old runic carvings in it. Word, you actually recognize them. They're similar to some of the older languages from the area you're from.
Okay.
Honestly, it's a fairly typical standing stone. You know, whatever magic it might have had has worn off by this point. But it's old. It's kind of impressive. It's a good 10 feet tall. You can sort of see the remnants of some other smaller stones around it that have been more affected by erosion and plants doing their thing to them. Plants are growing over a rock and breaking it apart and such.
Right.
But the big standing stone seems to actually be almost entirely intact. It's just got moss and lichen on it. The area around it it's not quite. It's sort of there's a sort of quasi clearing almost, but it's not like a full-fledged clearing. At least not anymore. And the area here, there's sort of an air of. There's an air of something sort of faintly unpleasant about the area around it. It's not like it smells bad or anything like that, but there's sort of a heavy atmosphere about the place. Sort of heavy and sort of sort of something tangibly unright. But it's there's also sort of a feeling that's almost like it's being kept at bay almost. Perhaps that's what the standing stone is doing.
Let's knock it over. I'm kidding.
You said that it had runes.
It does.
Well, I would like to poke about those and interpret them.
Go for it.
I cannot roll for shit today.
Well, 19 is enough to identify the basic premise by the runes, at least. It won't give you the full details, but look at it yes, this is a warding stone. It is designed to basically, as the linchpin of some sort of almost like it's almost like it's locking something away beneath it. And has been doing so for a long time.
Big unpleasant thing here.
But that's really all you sort of can get out of it. As I said, you don't actually sense any actual, at least not magic. You don't sense any magic, at least in the way you're used to sensing. So you're not sure what the deal with it is. It's clearly whatever it's doing is working, but also clearly this is not magic the way I'm used to.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's clearly working. Or else whatever it was locking away has since gotten out and is off wreaking horrible havoc somewhere. But it's very clearly designed to lock something away that is very bad and unpleasant.
Scribble a note. Consult question with proprietor of Little Black Book.
Possibly. Who knows? At any rate, you guys need to probably... unless you guys want to sit here and do more stuff here, which you're welcome to do. It is getting kind of dark, though. You've been traveling for a good long while at this point.
I don't want to camp right next to the warding stone that's sealing away unspeakable horrors.
What? Why not? Wouldn't that be... It seems like a perfect place to camp.
It does.
We're
Totally
camping
safe.
over
Awesome
there.
dreams.
We're not camping here, we're camping there.
Alright, well, you travel on for a little while and find a decent spot to camp, at least. Someone give me a perception check to spot a good spot to camp while you're traveling.
Here we go again.
Try this. Oh.
Yep.
Okay, so I rolled a 16
Hey, I didn't
first.
suck.
So.
I see 2 18s and a 16, and Aramia doing Aramia's usual perception checks. But you do find a fairly decent place to camp. You set up camp. You set up your usual watch schedule.
Okay.
Peter?
I forgot to push to talk.
I wonder where all those pops and clicks are coming from.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm gonna guess Yona.
I don't know. At any rate, so you set up camp, and you set up your same watch schedule, I assume?
Probably.
All right. In that case, first watch, give me your perception checks.
The what?
First watch perception checks.
I'm reading. Go away.
16. All right. Eric, you do hear some noises of some sort of animal snuffling around. Do you react anyway?
Oi, piss off. We're sleeping here.
The noises stop for a second. You hear sort of a low growl, but then you hear the footsteps leaving.
That's right. Told you. Nice to help me out there, by the way. Just get your nose out of the book and pay attention.
Oh, sure. Keep reading.
All right. Nothing else actually happens during the first watch. Second watch, perception checks.
So that would be me for second, and then third. Why is it not going to the bottom of the page? So an 11. And then for the third watch, would technically be me as well if we're doing 2-hour blocks.
Kathra rolls a 14.
Well, no, she's not with me on the second watch.
Isn't
This is
she?
third watch.
No, but she no, I thought it was 4 watches. It was you two in the first
it's
one,
3.
me alone for the second and third.
I thought
No.
we were
It's
I
3
thought we only had
watches.
3 watches.
All right. So second watch.
Did earlier.
I am sorry about falling asleep.
That's all right.
I am sick.
All right. So second watch, you rolled 11 sketch.
Yes.
All right, then. Well, you don't really notice much of anything except that suddenly you notice, like out of nowhere, like it's been dead quiet, and it's been dead quiet for a while. Is what you suddenly realize, and you can sort of see just out of sight of sight. So, like right in the fringes of what you can see, a dark, shadowy form sort of facing you, just like almost staring at you. You can't make out much beyond it. Say sort of mostly humanoid. You'd guess around about close to. It's pretty tall. It's taller than you are. Maybe somewhat, sort of close. It's human height, roughly. You know, somewhere between sort of average to tall human height. And just sort of sits there staring at you guys for a while, and then it turns and walks away.
Fucking Slender Man.
Anyway,
Unless you do something before it does that. That's up to you, though.
no.
Hey, we're coming to the village. Let the caterers know.
Well,
I'm asleep. That's totally non-canon.
Right.
That's entirely out of character, too.
All right, so let's see. Who is next? So, final watch then, I guess.
Third.
Hana. All right. Well, that's a really good roll, which helps make our fact you can't see in the dark. Although light's beginning to it is beginning to hit dawn, so there's some light. Remember Remember how I described to Skitch there was one sort of shadowy form just outside the fringe of vision sort of staring at you guys?
Yes.
Plural.
There are, like, 5 or 6 of them doing the same thing. Now, also just sort of staring at you when you sort of notice it. It's basically, after a while you realize that everything's gone completely dead silent. You actually notice it more... Actually, you notice it, like, things start getting quiet and then it becomes eerie silent. And then you hear sort of a very faint sort of noise moving through the woods, like... You're not sure what it is. It sounds like something is, like, walking through the woods, but it doesn't sound like a normal something walking through the woods. And that's when you see the things. It's sort of a group of about 5, maybe 6. It's hard to make it out. Just outside of where you can barely see them. And then they stop, turn, look at you, just sort of staring there for about 5 minutes. Do you take any actions during those 5 minutes?
I wake people up.
Okay.
We all stare at Bigfoot.
What? I'm just... What? Something... Who are those fuckers out there?
We don't want your feet. I'm tired.
So
But this,
my curiosity is how do they react when they notice that the rest of us are being roused awake?
They continue staring. They're just standing there.
Stare.
I imagine they're not going to do anything unless we get hostile in posture.
well,
Out of curiosity, what's the term for a gathering of slender men?
They're not slender men.
are they a pod? Are they a herd?
No, they're a flash.
Okay, Peter.
Yes.
In our encounters with the Nameless, you have described a certain feeling of, I guess, like dread or some such. Do I feel the same thing with this group?
No.
Okay.
It's a different feeling. Honestly, it feels like you're being stared at by something very large and very predatory. That's sizing you up whether you're going to be lunch.
Okay, well, I am going to...
Purple worm should leave us alone.
I am going to, I guess, take a sort of neutral stance, not acting either threatening or intimidated.
Okay.
And I am going to carefully start approaching the group.
I will follow relatively close behind, but just maintaining sort of a neutral posture. My bow is still like on my back, but it's not drawn out. And
Okay.
no weapons visibly out.
All right. I'm going to stand right where I am, and I'm going to use suggestion. Hey, are you folks a patrol from the Canid village?
I'm gonna get dressed.
And there's my Arcana boosted suggestion diplomacy.
All right.
The one good roll I've had all night.
The 5 of the group sort of all sort of turn and look at each other. It's very clear they sort of turn, look at each other, and they sort of just start fading back into the woods and sort of disappear.
Called it.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you're right.
No, it doesn't. It could just very well mean that they're not ready to confront us yet.
Or it could be a different entity altogether.
Well, I use they to refer to the group, not identifying them by anything.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All I know is that obviously there is something that knows we're here, and doesn't really care that we know that they know we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. All right. Well, you set out again towards the Canid village. You should be on the last stretch, honestly. I just need one more perception / navigating roll type thing from the group.
Oh, here we go. Oops.
Whatever you think is appropriate.
Oh, wow.
Hey!
Apparently I needed a good night's rest that wasn't in a dwarven bed.
All right. Well, you guys rolled well enough as a group that you travel along through the woods. You avoid the obvious sort of bits of dead trees that might fall on top of you. Obvious area where where sort of predatory animals tend to frequent. etc., etc. So you aren't like jumped by like wolves or an owlbear or something like that in the woods. And you eventually, as you travel a little while, you come across a trio of Canids who are basically, there are three three wolfmen walking sort of prowling through the woods almost. They sort of stop, look at you guys.
Saunter.
They're actually, they really have that sort of aspect of sort of like prowling through the woods. They stop, look at you, look back at each other, look at you.
They just kind of walk away.
One of them sort of walks forward and sort of says, "You are strangers to these woods." I can't replicate the a halting sort. They're speaking the sort of common tongue, Westeros.
Yes, but there's a sort of roughness or edge to the way they talk. Vindaeus will chime in and respond with, "Perhaps, but we are not strangers to a mutual friend who has vouched for us in our journey through this area." And at this point, the what was it? Is it just a letter?
It was a letter of introduction.
Yeah.
So you hand the letter of introduction to the lead candidate.
Well,
all three of them are, as I said, they're big. I mean, cannons tend to be very sort of, when they stand fully upright, they can get up to like bordering on about 7 feet.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to be tend to move about more hunched over. Just sort of so it's closer to when they're not fully upright. They're probably about somewhere around 6'2", 6'3", maybe so between 6 foot and 6.5 feet. But when fully upright, they creep up into the 7 feet range. So this one sort of takes things, sort of stands up, sort of to read it, peers at it. Friends of the Goblin,
yes.
The Walker.
Yes.
Right. He sort of sighs. I should escort you back to the village. Proper etiquette is that I escort you back to the village with this, but we just left to go hunting.
Well, would it be possible?
We can find our own way. You go do what you need to do.
I was gonna say, like, you could just simply point us in the direction, and well,
he's clearly still got this sort of like, on the one hand, really should go hunting. Kind of need to go hunting. On the other hand,
yes.
Etiquette demands I escort them. That's sort of what as he said, it's etiquette as far as he's concerned.
Right. Yes. Vindaeus will actually just sort of think for a moment and then propose. Do you need any assistance or extra hands in the hunt?
Nah, we got this.
No, not right now, but I appreciate the sentiment. I do apologize, but we really do need to get out to the hunt. Do you have a map?
It's here.
Do.
I pull up the map.
Good. He basically sort of looks at the map, sort of scans it over a little bit, and says, "Okay, you are." He sort of sketches. He points on the map. You are here, pointing to a spot on the map. The village
of Maul is here.
If you follow basically yes. If you just walk this way, he sort of gestures to the map, you'll get right to the village. You're not more than like half an hour walk. You're fine.
All right.
You're close.
Although if you take a right at this river bend, there's a Dairy Queen.
There is?
No.
Wait a minute. I thought Taco Bell was something that showed up in the woods. All right. Thanks a lot, mate, and we'll see you back at the village when you're done.
Indeed, yes. And he nods. The other two sort of like wave, sort of confusedly at you. The lead sort of turns back and starts, barking at them in pack speak. And they're like, it's one of them. The younger of them goes, has a look of "oh" on his face.
Oh, so we're gonna eat them later. Got it.
I guess that could be the interpretation, or it could be, "Oh, they're friends of the Walker." Oh, okay, that's why you were being friendly to them. Got it.
We're gonna eat the Walker. That doesn't seem like a good idea either.
I'd love to eat a Walker.
So,
bad luck to hit a monk.
Yes.
So, I take it nothing really bad happens in the half hour.
No, you're fine. No, a rock flies down from the sky and lifts one of you off to feed to its chicks. I mean, no, you're fine.
Excellent.
Oh,
I can
for a
see my
second
house from here.
For a second, I thought you meant like a stone rock.
No, ROC. Not ROCK. Sorry. Damn you, mythology. At any rate, you arrive at the edge of the Canid village. There are some guards outside who, when they see you approaching, come striding forward. They're wearing hide armor, have large bows strung across their backs, and they're armed with spear. They're armed with spears. They look extremely well made, if from some vaguely, they've got the spears have what look like stone heads, but they're extremely well made. The staff part of the spear is perfectly straight and looks like it's been fire hardened and worked very well. There are signs of obvious high skill craft work on their their hide armor, and so on and so forth. And one of them the lead one walks forward and says, "What's your business with us, with this village? Who are you?"
Our business is to be here in wait of a mutual friend.
Mutual friend.
The letter gets produced and handed over.
He sort of reads it over. Ah,
yes.
You're friends of Gex's.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, we are.
He sniffs the paper.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It looks like Gex's writing, and smells like Gex.
Yes.
It must be Gex.
It probably is Gex. Yeah.
He hands it back. He hands it back to you and says, "Yep, all right."
Smells like old socks and bologna. That's Gex, all right.
He says, "Follow me." And he leads you into the village. It's a fairly sizable village, honestly. I mean, it's bordering on a small town, to be totally honest. The buildings are, look like they're handmade out of wood, but all very well done. Whoever the lead crafters are here are very good. It's very clear this place has been around a good long while. These guys, it's not like it's a nomadic tribe or anything like that.
Right.
They look fairly well established.
Yeah, this is beyond a settlement.
Right. This is an actual honest to God village, or bordering on it. It's yeah. So you see there you notice that there's a large group of young Canids sort of sitting in a circle, It's very as you sort of look at them, you realize very quickly it's basically a classroom session. They're being taught. They've got a teacher who's sort of explaining something to them. None of you speak Pack speaks, so you have no idea what they're saying.
Cut in real quick and say that I'm gonna have to leave.
Okay.
The sickness is catching up to me.
All right. Feel better, Alice.
All right, feel better.
Take it easy.
Yeah. Bye. Baby.
Yep.
Where's Mubble? Bye.
And everyone else. But yeah, it's very clearly a sort of a classroom. It's a classroom session. They're being taught. It's one of those things like, what are those? All those. It's like, okay, they're all okay. Those are probably kids. There's an adult there. School. That's got to be what it is.
This is how you slow cook dwarf.
Well,
I imagine this is somewhat of a foreign idea to Aramia, considering that she was strictly mentored and never had an experience like this.
Quite possible, yes. But that's
might be that she's not actually able to immediately identify this as a school. Not until someone presents the notion and is like, "Oh right, I've heard of this."
You do notice that two of the kind of kids are sort of whispering to each other and start doing stuff, and eventually another adult sort of walks up behind them, sort of cuffs them both on the back of the head a little bit. They sort of both look up, sort of look sheepishly up at them, and then turn back to paying attention to the lesson. Yeah, pay attention, you two.
Back to work.
As you're walking in, Another sort of candidate sort of comes sauntering up to you. The one who's leading you in sort of says something to him in Pax Geek. The other one nods and goes sort of loping off back towards one of the larger huts. Your guide sort of leads you to the sort of towards the center of town near basically sort of a meeting point in the center of town. There's a large area which is very clearly sort of a fire pit that's sort of set up for like doing like bonfires and such. And there are a couple of large standing stones that look like they're in very good condition and a bit like they're being very carefully maintained. There's runic carving on them, but it's not anything. It's effectively it's written Pax speak, so none of you can read it. It's like, ooh, runes. Don't know that language.
Bark, bark, woof, woof.
The fuck does that mean? And shortly after that, the candidate who loped off a bit comes walking back more slowly with an elderly female candidate with white fur, with a hood drawn over, basically wearing sort of simple sort of spun robes, with the hood sort of pulled down over her muzzle. Who's sort of walking slowly, leaning heavily on a large gnarled walking stick. And so she comes walking up to you. It's very clear that everyone around is giving her, treating her with extreme reverence. And she walks up and sort of looks at you all. And says, so, you are friends of the Walker, ah? Gex.
We are.
Ah.
I'm going to. Do I know anything about Canid social customs? Like,
honestly, you probably do at this point, because you've probably had to interact with them because of your job.
Right. I will do. If it's just bowing, I'll do that. If it's an equivalent, I'll do that.
Right. They're basically, as a general rule of thumb, they tend to be fairly. They're tribal, sort of clannish. They usually have sort of a small group of elders who run their villages. They usually defer to the oldest and wisest for the most part.
Okay. So I will show the deepest respect that I can for her position, and I will help lead the introductions, I guess.
You'll introduce yourself. You'll give your name, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. You are a priestess of the Hearthmaker. I see. Well, and she basically goes through all of you. I see. Very interesting. So you've been traveling with Gex. You notice eventually another candidate comes sort of loping up with carrying a chair. Sort of sits down behind her. She turns around, sort of pats him on the shoulder, and lowers herself into the chair. Please be seated. She sort of gestures around. You notice that there are a bunch of sort of like rocks sort of set in the ground that look like they're actually fairly well set up for sitting on. Maybe a little bit lower than you're used to sitting, but
Whatever. I'm short and I got little stumpy legs.
Right. Yeah. It's perfect for it's as far as you can tell. It's perfect for you. The actual
on the other
dwarves.
hand, I'm tall and I'm wearing a thin dress. This is difficult.
Right. Whereas it's because of the way Canid legs bend, they sit differently.
Yeah.
Right.
So these rocks are set. They work very well for someone short like a dwarf. For humans, they're a little bit awkward, but not that bad.
And then for Vendeus.
Well, you're effectively human in terms of physiognomy, so.
Okay. I thought that height-wise I was actually taller than.
How
He
tall
is
is
the
Vendeus?
tallest in the group, I'm pretty sure.
Vendeus and Arami are pretty close to the same height, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Because
I'm
Arami
over
is 6'2".
Okay.
Arami is very tall for a human.
Yeah.
Okay.
Says, well, welcome to my village. I am, oh god, what's her name? Crap, hang on.
Oh dear, it's been so long, I can't remember.
What's my name again?
Who are you?
Why are you in my house?
We're actually out in the middle of the open. Where'd my house go?
You may call me Elder Silverpaw. I am the leader of the Elder. I'm the. You could refer. I guess you could say I am the wise woman of this village.
Someone vaping?
I don't know. You might say I'm the wise woman of this village. Our true sort of the alpha of the village is out hunting right now. He will be back later.
No, I think we ran into
Oh, we
him.
ran into him.
Ah, well, that is good. I hope that went well.
Oh yeah, he was going to give us a walk back, but we let him go do his thing.
Ah, that would explain why he didn't walk you back then.
Indeed.
Yes, well, he probably did have to go hunting. There are some supplies we do need restocking on, especially if we're having visitors. How long are you expecting to be here?
Brother Gex should be arriving within a few days. We'll be assisting you in matters around that until then.
Well, you are definitely welcome to stay then. Especially if you're willing to help out around the village, you're more than welcome to stay then. It's very rare we get outsiders here. But as friends of Gex's, the friends of a walker are always welcome. So tell me, we have heard very little news from outside. What's been going on? I take it most of you are from south of the mountain range, from your accents and your mode of dress. Although you, dearie, you look like you're from further up north.
That I am.
Ah, yes. But so, what's been going on south of the mountains? We've heard basically nothing from there. We don't get to talk to dwarves very often. They don't generally venture out of their mountains very often.
There was a conspiracy recently.
As usual political dick fucker, you know how it goes.
One of the younger, sort of Canids who are standing around. No, one of the younger Canids sort of looks like what did he just say in front of the elder? She, however, you hear her sort of chuckling at the term. So one of the braces sort of goes, "What? How dare they show?" She's just like, "No, it's fine." Dwarven politics. It's been a long, long time since I've had anything to. Since I've talked to a dwarven politician. It's an experience I will never forget.
Nor repeat.
As much as you'd like to, I'd wager.
Oh, he wasn't that bad at all. I think he became king not long. I think he actually became king after that at some point. Yes. As a matter of fact, Eric and Catherine's not here, and Vendeus, you both remember that the current king was, a member of the council for quite a while, and it was. The position of king, if the king doesn't designate an heir, it usually then falls to sort of someone chosen from the council of elders. The king does not have to designate any of his family as heir to the throne if he chooses not to, because sometimes they just no, none of you are qualified to run the country.
You are all idiots.
Fuck you, kid.
Dad.
Well, in this case, his son was. Actually totally fine with not becoming king because he was really more cut out to be a general as opposed to a monarch. So he's like, yeah, I totally get that.
Sorry, my connection just dropped there.
That's all right. Thank you for letting me know, though. Yeah. So basically, he only had one son, and his son was a brilliant general and was probably going to be a terrible king. So he's like,
Well,
yeah.
I can't just wear the crown on the battlefield.
So
I'll give out royal decrees while I'm cutting my opponent's heads off. Come on.
And it's like, well, okay, being king would mean that I wouldn't actually be able to be there on the front lines where I need to be. Yeah, it's probably for the best. And so the current king was one of the members of the council and was chosen. Everyone agreed, yeah, he's probably the right guy to be in charge. And so now he's king. But so has some nice, pleasant conversations. She lets you know about some of the goings-on in the woods. Do any of you mention the dark forms you saw?
I think that would probably be appropriate. Yes.
All right.
I was gonna bring that up because I was straight up going to ask, was that a night patrol that we ran across?
She says, so when you bring up these sort of dark forms, dark forms. No, that very likely was not. Oh. Those are probably the elven shadow walkers being obnoxious.
Being elves.
Well, the elves of these woods, at least, yes.
I'll shoot Rami a glance when she says that.
You're a dwarf. It doesn't count.
I thought you were a dwarf.
I'm both. So.
She said, the elves of these woods are. We've had long-standing tension with them, shall we say, about They tend to believe that the woods as a whole belong to them, and that we are. That we don't really belong here, to a large degree. We're more than happy to share the woods with them, but they don't really seem to be particularly interested in that. But they have long learned that direct confrontation with us is not necessarily the best of ideas. So they've taken to skulking. They haven't done anything overt in quite some time, but they have. We know that they've had some. They have some people that we've heard referred to as shadow walkers, who are very well trained at moving through the woods at night and very hard to spot, and are. We don't know what they're up to, but they're out there observing the woods, and I'm personally concerned that they're up to something. The other elders can see this is possibly true, but there's nothing we really can do about it, and complaining to the elves about it, them moving through our lands will get us nowhere, because they don't really consider these our lands. They only basically had been avoiding them out of sheer sort of, okay, if we cross over there and we in any sort of force, the Canids will just come out in force and crush our patrols, because they will. She shrugs. We would prefer to avoid open war with them. We prefer to avoid war with them entirely. And
right.
So far, that seems to be holding true. But I am concerned.
Arami is going to lean over a little bit and whisper into Hana's ear. So you're gonna get a marriage out of this one?
I'm going to
what?
I'm going to glance sidelong at her.
Wait, Hana's looking to get married? I thought she just did marriages.
I don't think.
Oh dear.
Would
Stop talking on canon. You couldn't hear that.
Would it be prudent to try to see what's this activity from them seems to be on the increase lately from what you've been saying?
It seems to be. It's hard for us to tell. We don't really go out looking for them at night for obvious reasons. I mean, we don't.
Right.
I mean, we're perfectly capable of operating at night, but why do that when we can operate in the day? We have some patrols out there at night, but not a ton. And they seem to be avoiding the village. So,
well, if it means anything, if you want someone to head out there at night, or at least maybe investigate, I might be interested in accompanying just to see if these are just how these northern elves react to someone who, at least on the surface, appears to be one of their own.
Well, if any of you are willing to help out, we never turn down assistance from people who have been introduced to us as friends. Let's just put it that way.
I have a question, actually.
Oh, indeed.
The location where we had that encounter with them, it was near an old warding stone.
Ah. Yes. That is a very old stone. It was put there by some... It was erected many, 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 many years ago. No one in our tribe knows exactly when. It's outside of our songs in terms of the actual date. It's been there as far as we know. It's been there as long as our tribe's been as we've been here in these woods. But from what we understand, we were told it is sealing in some sort of beast. Not any of nothing shadowy or. From what I understand, it's sealing in a dragon or something like that. She shrugs. A big, powerful dragon that was defeated by some heroes, and they buried it there and erected stone over so it wouldn't, find some way to come back to life.
I see.
Dragons can do that.
That's what this. I've never heard of them doing that. I've never seen a dragon, so I wouldn't know. But according to the tales we were told, that was a concern with that particular dragon.
Oh, all right.
It might be true of all dragons, or it could just be that dragon.
So we won't knock it over then.
I would recommend not doing so. Yes, just in case the tales are actually completely true. Anyways, she says, soon it will be time for food and for drink and for everything, dinner time.
Drink, you say?
Yes. Sadly, we do not have any beverages that from any of the dwarven lands. We don't trade with a lot of. We don't do a lot of trade outside the village, so it's mostly just stuff that we've made ourselves.
I'm always willing to try something new.
I have noticed a rather high proficiency in the ability of the crafters around here.
Oh, well, yes, they have. We've got a long tradition in woodworking, leatherworking, and other crafts, indeed. Our stoneworkers are very good also, but they tend to focus on, we don't tend to build out of stone. There's not enough of it to really do that in the woods. So we tend to use what we find for making tools for hunting and other tools, obviously. And we trade for what metal we can, but we don't really have anywhere to do proper forging, so we tend to import that stuff that's already been made.
Understandable.
But come, it's dinner time. It was that she sort of levers herself up out of the chair with her staff, and sort of gestures you to follow her. Tonight you will dine with me.
Happily and enthusiastically.
Tonight you will dine with me and my family.
Oh, thank you.
At that point, the alpha comes back with a bunch of bags of bacon strips.
Bacon!
Bacon!
Oh, those commercials. Anyways, she leads you off to her hut. There's a large table. She gestures for you all to sit. Chairs are brought out that are more suitable for, dwarves and elves and humans than the ones
people
that are designed.
Without digigrid legs.
Right, people without digigrid legs. Yes, exactly. There are, in fact, a couple that are sized for dwarves, or possibly, goblins. That might be a little bit big for a goblin, but a goblin could use them reasonably well. But it's well sized for you, Eric, and for Catherine. You're sit down. The food is it's heavy on the meat.
You don't say.
Well, they weren't hunting for vegetables out there.
No, but there are. I mean, canids are technically omnivorous, but they do have a tendency to prefer meat. They need more meat than most of the other civilized races, but they do eat stuff other than meat. For drink they serve water, milk, which comes. Did notice they have a herd of some sort of. They've got a goat herd basically. So it's goat's milk.
I'm gonna be having that.
And some sort of fermented beverage, which
I'll
is
be having that.
odd. It's not like anything you've had before, Eric. I haven't decided exactly what it's actually brewed out of, but it's definitely not something you're used to.
It's fern whiskey.
But it's potent enough that you probably want to have water to drink alongside it. It's not really thirst quenching, shall we say?
What if we try mixing it with the goat milk? Then it would be a white Russian, or so a white Canid.
Yes, Nick.
Do I know what the drink is?
Yes, you do. You were actually aware of it before, and before.
Do I want to stay away from it?
No, you're right. It's
Okay.
It's not unpleasant, and it's not super alcoholic. It's just not designed. It's designed to be drunk alongside. Basically, designed to be drunk with other stuff at the same time.
Okay.
Well, not designed, but that's sort of the custom. The custom is you drink some of that, then you drink either some milk or some water with it while you're eating.
I tell Yorm he totally wants to do straight shots.
Okay.
Line
them up.
And that's why we didn't have a tank for the next 3 days.
Well, when the dwarf asks that, the Canids all sort of look at him.
If any of them look at me, I'm going to wink at them.
They all look at Yorm. They look back at Elder Silverpaw. She chuckles and sort of gestures, like sort of sense.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
All right, well, you knock them back as you eat, Eric. Sorry, you knock them back as you eat. I had my finger off push talk there, sorry.
Yeah.
And I need a saving throw versus poison from you. Technically.
Well, he has a bonus against this.
Yes, he does. That's why I said versus poison. You're getting your dwarven bonus against, which is +5. So.
I thought it was 4.
No, it's +5.
That's not good.
That's not good.
All right, Eric. After you drink, you start going through it. You're like, yep, this is great stuff. You like it more and more as you go, and then you slowly start realizing that you are slowly tipping sideways.
Can you kick me out of
Hey,
the...
someone put the land back.
I disconnected. Can you kick me back in? I just realized it because I didn't see
Oh
the
yeah,
die
sure.
roll. There we go. What did he roll?
He rolled a 4 plus 5, so he failed.
Yep. So yes, you're like, yeah, this is great. Why is the ground all of a sudden sort of turning to an angle? Why am I falling sideways, or is the ground coming up to meet me? Oh, dear.
Guys, put the table back the right way and start trying to push it down.
Yeah. And Yorm sort of topples over.
Anna smiles mischievously.
Yorm, this is the most drunk you've been in a long time.
And Rami is going to slip a high five
I'm
at
not.
Anna under
Who
the
said
table.
I'm drunk?
Yorm is definitively
Drive.
Yorm is definitively slurring his words. Yorm, you are aware of your teeth.
Ever notice how your teeth are just sort of the things that go out of the as he tongues his teeth, he's just going on and on about them. They just sort of grow out of these strips of like meat inside your mouth, and it's yeah. I need another drink.
Yep. You are a couple of Canids sort of chuckling, sort of help you back into your chair.
Well, this has been more fun than I thought it would be.
Everybody's sort of laughing good-naturedly. It's. And the Elder Silverpaw says, honestly, Yorm, you've actually... I expected you to fall over after the... about 3 ago, not there. I'm actually mildly impressed.
I can keep going. I think it's a good idea to keep going. Right? You should never stop until you're... You shouldn't stop. What was I talking about?
Your teeth.
I'm going to go with whatever the currently filled one that he has, and I'm just going to completely freeze it over and hand it back to him.
More chuckles from around the table.
I probably don't notice and get... What? Shake the glass over my hand till it falls out. Then I pop it in my mouth.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Well, what would actually happen in that case? I'm just thinking, like,
You know that alcohol, it needs to be really fucking cold for alcohol to freeze.
honestly, what happens, Word, is you've basically froze the water out of it. So you're able to extract the thing.
It
What's
is 100 proof.
What's left is basically, is much, much, much more potent.
I just killed Bjorn.
No,
Oh God, pure alcohol.
it's not pure alcohol, but it's. So, Yorm, if you sip what's underneath the ice, it is foul. Because a lot of the good flavors got pulled up into the ice cube.
I pour it into the milk and then I drink that.
There you go.
All right, as long as you drink it quickly, it doesn't curdle. It's not the most pleasant tasting of things, but it's got a kick.
And that's what we're looking for.
Everybody sort of laughs.
This dwarf is funny.
Yeah, the food is, as I said, it's good food. There's, everyone in the Elders family does speak Westron. Some of them are more accented than others. But they all speak it fairly well. There's pleasant conversation to be had. Everyone's basically having a good time. To be totally honest, basically after the food's finished, you guys are you're escorted off to a longhouse where there's some places you can sleep. There's a long building with they've had cots laid out, not cots, but like bedrolls laid out for you guys to sleep on. They it's sort of a place for people who are visiting to stay. It's not like so it's not super amazing accommodations, but it's comfortable. It's clean. It's dry.
Better than the forest floor.
Absolutely. And as I said, it's comfortable. Just not fancy. They show you where the outhouse is, and if you need water or anything like that, they show you where to get some and such. They leave a bundle of herbs in a bag for Yorm. They suggest in the morning to basically make tea with that for Yorm. He'll thank you guys. He'll thank us.
Okay.
And that's it for the night.
I just realized.
All right. I need. Are you guys keeping watches during the night, or are you just gonna all just sleep?
Considering our perception is collectively ass.
Well, Vendace is pretty good.
Well, we're also in town
my
as
perception
guests.
is
I think we're...
My perception isn't good.
Oh no, it's Hana's is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm going to make an effort to wake up at the time I have been for my watch, but I mean, I'm not going to push the issue on anyone else.
Fair enough.
I'm going to be just patrolling the outer perimeter as much as I can. So I'll train for 4 hours, then
sure,
just
that's
patrol.
I'm basically just gonna watch over the hangover herbs because I'm the one who's gonna prepare them later.
I sleep the sleep of the very drunk.
Yes, you do, Eric.
Yorm does not go on watch.
Yorm would probably be less than useful on a watch. Let's just put it that way. Yes, as I said, Yorm, this is the drunkest you've been in years.
Awesome.
All right.
And then I will hate it in the morning. Why did
yes.
you let me do that?
Because it was funny.
All right.
All right,
so during the night, Vendeas, you're on patrol. You're sort of going around, looking around, sort of walking around. you get a few looks from the various sort of the Canids who are on the watchmen who are on watch. They're like, what? There's a right. It's that elf who came in with the group who are friends. Yeah, it's the elf who's friends with Gex, right? Okay, he's a southern elf. All good. I mean, so they basically sort of nod at you as you're patrolling around. They're more than happy to have an extra set of eyes, basically, and ears.
Mm-hmm.
Skitch, I need a perception check from you.
All right. Yeah.
Alas, you... well, you do have low light vision.
Yeah. My perception check would be as good as Hana's if I had Bard of all Trade, I think. No, it'd be one worse than her.
No, you don't. A 10 is not enough to notice anything.
Yeah.
Sadly. No, you don't notice anything except what Hana. What you basically at the same time as Hana. Basically, not long after you wake up, since you're intentionally getting up a bit early. Anyone else who's awake at that time, which includes Vindeus, all of you do hear some sort of strange, sort of very creepy and sort of almost it's weird. It's very clearly not distant, but it sounds distant at the same time. Sort of weird, sort of moaning noise from out in the eastern part of the woods. Sorry, not eastern, western part of the woods. I had to unflip it in my head. Just sort of this weird, sort of it's sort of weird and creepy and simultaneously distant and not distant. You notice that a few of the Canid watchmen, Vindeus, you notice that they're all sort of looking off of this as they're all sort of talking with each other in pack speak. One of them comes up to you and says, "Did you hear that?"
I'm sorry, I must have not. I'm not used to what I'm supposed to be paying attention to out here.
Strange sort of weird moaning noise off that away.
Do you think it should be prudent to investigate?
Well, if we hear anything else, then maybe. Would you do me a favor? Could you go? He gives you directions to a particular house. Wake up. He gives you gives you a name. Wake him up and tell him to get a hunting posse together.
Yes.
Have them go out and take a look. They know that area of the woods a little bit better. And I don't want to cut down on our people on actual watch. Thanks, he says, and goes back to keeping an eye on the area where he thought he heard the sounds. So,
do as requested.
Okay, great.
Basically get a.
All right, you go wake the guy. You wake the guy up. He sort of goes, "What? Oh, so and so wants me to go out and."
Yes.
Right. I'll go. I'll get my guys together.
Mind if I accompany you while you?
Not at all. Not at all.
All right.
So he gets a group of about 5 canids together, and the 6 of you head out into the woods. Hana, you do notice Vindeus running out with a group of 5 canids out into the woods at this point.
Okay. So I see people heading into the woods, but that's all I notice, I guess.
You heard the moaning noise, and they seem to be heading in that general direction, but that's basically all you see. Yeah. Other than you notice that the watchmen on the walls and such are sort of definitely all keeping sort of a general eye on that area.
Right. I'm going to attempt to go arouse Aramia.
Okay. Let's see how well that works out for you.
Well, Aramia's woken up.
After several minutes, it's like trying to wake up an ice cube.
Well, I'm not going to try and wake up Yorm.
Yeah, I know. Like, what?
Something is amiss.
Oh, as opposed to a missus, you haven't done your job yet?
Is that the only thing that you have to talk about around me?
It's the easiest thing to talk about. Alright, one moment. I'm actually going to set, like, the leaves on the cooker for Yorm before we head out.
The Watchers noticed something in the woods. I'm not sure what, but there was some sort of a moaning noise out there.
Charming. Let's go.
So you guys gonna head out into the woods after or what? What's your plan?
Run.
All right, you guys.
I hate running.
Jog.
All right, you guys actually,
speed run.
since you guys are actually running, you guys are actually able to catch up.
Rather.
You're actually able to catch up with.
Stop running backwards, you show off.
All right, so
On your left.
since you guys are actually running, you are actually able to catch up with the group who are moving a bit more quietly. They sort of look up. They hear you coming from behind. They sort of look up and they sort of gesture you to move more quietly.
Okay, I will do so.
I'm a wizard.
You don't wear armor, at least.
Yeah.
No, but Dex is a dumb stat.
I'm not asking you to make stealth rolls or anything like that because.
Okay.
Yeah, imagine if Gjorman had come with us.
Clank, 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 clank.
Wait for me, guys!
What do you mean, be quiet? I'm being totally quiet. You're the ones who are being loud. Oh God, my head.
Oh God, that reminds me of the.
Why is it so bright out here? It's pitch black. I know.
That reminds me the first fourth ed game I ran with Eric on with our Tuesday crew. One of the guys in the group, the guy who was playing the Dragonborn fighter, he actually he multiclassed into Ranger and took the stealth skill, and he's wearing scale armor, which has no penalty, and he had good dex because he was built around. He was a great spear fighter, effectively, so he needed dex. So his stealth skill was actually really good. Which led to the never forgettable quote where after one time when he's lurking up on a roof to sort of spy on stuff, it's like, "I'm Batman. Also, I'm a dinosaur."
Also, I'm a dinosaur.
The also a dinosaur became a running gag in our group for a long while.
Yes.
But yes, a black-scaled dragonborn wearing sort of black-scale armor with a. Actually, eventually it was he was using a Gouge, if I remember correctly, because
because
that weapon's fair. And I was like, and honestly, I honestly don't care that much about its overpoweredness. It wasn't at that point, at least. There's so many other worse things to worry about. And he really was effectively Batman, except he was a dragonborn fighter.
also, I'm a dinosaur.
Yes. That party was weird.
That was a weird party.
Because it was him, a tiefling warlock, an Eladrin warlock, a drow
Ranger priest.
Ranger
thing.
cleric, and Eric's half-orc barbarian.
Yeah.
So, there wasn't a lot of healing in the party, except for the NPC bard that tagged along with him occasionally. But God, the offense!
You're giving me that description. I'm just thinking that is a very colorful party. You've got like 5/7 of the rainbow there.
It's amazing. It was amazing.
Fight the rainbow.
But yeah, the firepower that group had. Oh my God.
I can imagine.
Oh, well, because remember, their leader was effectively half leader, half striker.
Yeah.
Anyways, we should get on with this. Sorry for the tangent. But so you guys are sort of tracking through the woods, and you eventually get to a scene of something, because there is something you have not seen very often, and it's very clear the elves haven't seen very many of these. It is a very large lizardy thing. You guys quickly identify it as a drake of some sort, which are not that common.
Did you mean to say canids?
Sorry, the Canids find this. Yes, they haven't seen these very often.
Yeah, the elves are just there, and they're just like, what the fuck?
Right. Well, yeah, nobody's used to seeing these very often, but it's a drake, and it's a big one. It would be large in size, basically.
Right.
It's actually probably big enough to be that it could be theoretically be a mount, basically, but it's not. It's
I'm
a
glad
rage.
Gorm's not here right now.
It's
I'm
a
going to
rage.
ride it.
It's a rage drake. So, but it's a big sucker, but it's dead, very very dead. Something has torn it to pieces in a rather gruesome manner. And not the way it's very clearly not an animal, like a predatory animal. Nothing's been eaten. It's just been killed. And eviscerated. It's kind of unpleasant.
I'm going to see if I can detect any magical residues of any sort.
Go for it.
Oh, fuck off.
No magical residues? Vindaeus can give me an Arcana roll too if you'd like.
Okay. I wasn't sure if they were with me or not.
Oh, they caught up with you. All right, between the two of you, there's not much in the way of magic residue in the area. I mean, there's faint magic in the woods just in general, due to the connections with the Fae that are in the general area. But that's not what this is. This is nothing. There's nothing particularly magical about the way it's been killed, but both of you do recognize that there's definitely something faintly ritualistic about it.
Sacrificing a drake. That's a tall order.
It may not be it may not be that type of ritual. It might be like a sacrifice. It might not necessarily be a sacrifice, but there's something, as I said, ritualistic about it. It doesn't mean it's a sacrificial not like a magical sacrifice necessarily, but they're a part of some sort of ritual.
Nice.
And it may not necessarily have to have been a drake, but
I'd like to consult my knowledge about history about drakes in general, and is it unusual for one to be in a forest like this?
go ahead.
There we are.
There are it varies by the type of drake. This particular type, I mean, you're not entirely certain because that's more of a nature roll.
Right.
But you rolled high enough that at a guess, from the way the Canids are acting, there are drakes in the woods. They're not like unheard of, but they're just uncommon. You don't see them very often. They're kind of uncommon, especially in this part of the woods. From what you gather, from what you remember, they tend to be more sort of. They would probably tend to be more towards the southern edge of the woods, near the mountains. But it's not unheard of. But it does seem unlikely that one would wander this close to settlement.
Interesting.
All right. I need a perception check from everybody also now.
I'm guessing not me.
You are not there. You are sleeping the sleep of the drunk.
Make a perception check to wake up.
Make a perception check. You roll a 20. You are hungover and unconscious.
You can see your dream vividly.
Ooh, nice roll, Ramya. All right, all of you beat 20. Excellent.
I don't know how the hell we'd manage that.
Yeah, Ramya, you equal 20, but 20 was more than enough. All of you do notice that there are that on the trees. You notice that there are. If you look carefully, it's hard to notice it because of the lighting. But you're guessing that when daylight came, it would be much more obvious. But there are glyphs painted on the trees in blood.
Uh-huh. So
And yeah. And they're very clearly sketched. You immediately recognize them as being elven cuneiform.
What does it say?
It's not a. It's not. It's some parts of it are basically a warning that the part of it basically is very clearly a warning that the shadows are gathering and they will come for you. Leave now. And other parts of it are very clearly both Aramia and Vindeus. It's clearly some sort of almost like magical sort of almost like a magical signpost, sort of directing something towards the village.
Oh, great! There's a beacon.
A beacon, or
That or a signpost, but.
Well, the way you frame it sound like this is being set up for something to use this as a waypoint on its way to.
That is your interpretation, Aramia.
Okay.
If that's that's what you're. That makes sense to you. Yes, is what I should say. That is one definitive possible interpretation, and is quite probably likely.
Still trying to.
Damn, Elvish. First this.
Well, even though you were joking about earlier, Ramia, it seems that there is a dispute that requires our assistance in settling.
I don't think matrimony is going to be our solution, so need to find a different one.
One of these days, she's just gonna punch you with a fire fist.
And I'll freeze her in response, and then that won't get us anywhere.
All right. Well, after a while, everybody heads back to the village because there's not much else you can do out here beyond cleaning up the drake. The Canids basically sort of look at the wizard and the artificer and they say, "Should we bother cleaning the blood off the trees? Will that help?"
Mm-hmm.
Do I think they'll even be able to do it? Like, is it just like kind of wedged in from?
Give me an Arcana check.
Funny.
It can't hurt.
I'm trying to wrap my head around kind of some of the details from that bit. Okay, so there's a sacrifice. There is a warning about the shadows, right?
The shadows are coming for you. Yes, you should leave.
Shadows
now.
are coming for you, but it's written in Elven.
Correct.
Cuneiform. So it's not written for us. Potentially, it'd be written.
You're at a guess. You're guessing that there are at least some people. Some of the candidates probably do read Elven.
Possibly.
So, possibly,
again,
but it may not.
Again, my first instinct was that they would have written in a more common tongue anyway than Elven cuneiform of West.
Well, if it's part of their ritual, then they probably don't really care if you understand every single word or not.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, this is like, here comes the doom. Fuck off. Or else.
Again, my interpretation is a bit different than that. So
there are other possible interpretations. Yes.
My interpretation implies that there is a subset of elves that are the shadows, and not all the elves in this area are those. But that's
entirely possible.
That's what Vindeus' internals would have, because his whole thing: why would this be written in Elven? And it could have been written in other languages just as well.
That is valid, but I'm uncertain of the necessity of it.
Necessity.
Excuse me, that was the wrong word. The importance of that detail is what I meant to say.
Well, communication is only useful if the audience has a certain degree of understanding of the language being used.
Think of it this way. Assume that there is a third party responsible. What would you do in order to make it seem as if that was responsible?
What was that? I didn't hear that part there.
If we assume that... Let us imagine for a moment that a third party is responsible for this. How would you get someone to assume that it were elves that were responsible for the act? You would leave your message in Elven. So I understand where he is coming from.
Yes, That's why I'm a little perplexed at the choice of message.
I understand that, and I respect that viewpoint. I cannot discredit that. On the other hand, the story that we have received from the Canids, as well as the general understanding of the elves in this forest, is they care for themselves and no one else, so it's not really their problem whether their message is understood or not.
But that statement just makes my supposition more accurate. They care about the other elves in the area and no one else, and the message could indicate that.
What other elves in the area?
The ones that aren't the Shadow.
The way the elder spoke of it sounded like they were just a trained regiment.
Again, like I said, this is just a supposition driven from the fact that this message is written in a language that is not native to elves. So
I'm going to try and non-verbally communicate to Aramia to drop it.
I was gonna drop it anyway. Honestly, the idea I had was going off of my notion that this is like a beacon drawing something here. Can we cut down the tree and move it? Like they emblazoned it into the tree, not something a little. And there's permanence, but that not total permanence. That's not into the ground.
We set up a
I don't know. I hadn't thought about that.
We set up a dummy Canid village.
God, you go full Blazing Saddles on them.
Yeah.
Where are the white elves at?
Oh God. I honestly don't know if that would work, Word. I honestly hadn't decided on that. Because the thought just didn't occur to me for some reason, and I'm not sure. And for those of you who enjoy game mastering, or think about game mastering, as I've always said, the plot never survives contact with the players. This is proof.
Especially when we're talking about me.
Oh, this is something almost every group of players I've game mastered would have come up with at some point. It's like, why don't we cut down the trees? Why did you what? Oh, right. They're trees. You could just... Of course you could just cut them down. Duh. If you want to try that, the Canids are more than willing to let you to assist you in trying it. I make no promises whether it'll work or not.
Hana makes a note
I'm going to suggest that to them, just be like, they want to get rid of it, so I was like, you know what, it might be a beacon, get rid of the whole tree, just relocate it entirely, and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah,
Hana's going to shake her head in disbelief.
Well, you get a group of Canids out there, I mean, they come out with saws and stuff, and axes and such, they take the trees down. They think the idea of, well, okay, I guess moving them at least, to act as a... It can't hurt. Worst case, later on, we have lumber we can use for other stuff.
And you know what? If anything else, it's a sign of defiance to show that they won't be swayed, if nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. So they cut the trees down. After they cut those trees down and carry them off somewhere else and point them in some other direction, they come back and plant some new saplings, because that's sort of what they do.
Right.
Because, duh.
Yeah.
All right, after that, during all this, Yorm, you are actually eventually woken up by hustle and bustle in the village, and the sounds of, not that far away, someone chopping down trees.
You guys stop with the drums? Why is it so bright out here?
Turn off the lights.
Yorm, you definitely have a hangover. This is the first hangover you've had in a long time.
Okay.
I left the tea on the boil for them there. I didn't leave a note, so I don't know if he'll notice.
No, but having been a frequent hangover sufferer, yeah, you grab the first thing to drink that's not alcoholic.
Okay.
It's the tea that is made is very bitter. It's it's like It's not bad. It's just it's more bitter than like bitter coffee, Eric.
Okay.
It's
That doesn't matter.
It's positively astringent, but you actually feel better after drinking it. It's working.
Good.
It's got very high caffeine content, which actually does help with headaches.
It really does.
And there's something that is helping settle your stomach, so helping counteract the bitterness of it. You notice as you sort of somewhat blinking into the sunlight, that there are a bunch of Canids. They're clearly doing something out in the woods. They're chopping down trees, but you're not sure what's going on. The rest of the party eventually wanders back into town.
What? What are you guys? What are you doing?
A threatening message made from the carcass of a drake was erected.
Oh, did you kill the guys that made it?
No.
There was no one to do any such thing with.
Oh. I should probably get dressed.
Not a good idea.
Gorm is standing out there in his breeches.
Indeed.
Wait, pants? Pants.
All right. Well, that's about as far as I've got plotted for today. Mostly because there's going to be a fight coming.
And that's going to take time, man.
Yeah, that's going to take time. So I didn't bother actually, making the map and such for it. So
Right.
Okay.
we're going to wrap up a little bit early this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope everybody had fun. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. You know the deal. If you do that, you'll be alerted when new sessions go up and all the like. Thank you for watching. We recorded this live on twitch.tv/mechagm. And we usually start Saturdays around 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.